new beginning is not something we recognise instantly every time. It might be something gradual and creep up on us, like a pandemic perhaps. We spoke about the virus for some weeks before we became fully aware of it in our midst, and even then its full significance dawned on us only slowly. The mission and ministry of Jesus was not dissimilar. When did it begin? Was the engagement of his first apprentices the key moment, when he caught public attention? Or was it only when inexplicable miracles started happening? The four gospel writers offer differing accounts, and St. John always seemed to have his own unique perspective. Like the preceding story of Nathanael, today's much-loved snapshot is exclusive to John's writing, but he flags this little episode up as the first sign, disclosing the emerging truth about who Jesus really was. He might have looked ordinary, he might have come from the back of beyond, but this was no everyman. If today's story was the first indication that there was something utterly different about him as an adult, we have to acknowledge that at the time, hardly anyone even noticed. It takes a long time to make a good wine, you know. It's not just trample your grapes and barks your uncle. Fermenting, filtering, maturing, decanting. Longer the better, usually. You need loads for a party. No such thing as a dry wedding. Oh, that'll never do. Marriage celebrations are as big in our culture as anyone's. Music and dancing, feasting, and drinking, of course. All of them vital. By our standards, this one was quite an ease up. And it was in my old mate Nat's home village of Cana. So we knew everyone. The happy couple, the families, even the servants. There's a clue. It was quite posh do. No expense spared. So, imagine my surprise when I overheard Jesus' ma telling him they run out of wine. Struth! Bit of a social disaster. You wouldn't want anyone thinking you were a cheapskate or, at best, incompetent. Bridegroom's responsibility, that. This one, he looked blissfully unaware, dancing round with his new wife. I expect there were more guests there than he'd reckoned on. It was just 3 days since Nat decided to join the Jesus crew, and the bridegroom rashly tells him, of course you can bring your new friends. And so he did, complete with hangers-on. Back at the crisis. Simon, the steward, seemed oblivious too. What they're going to do. No chance of sourcing some more. Wedding catering, you can't do that ad hoc, as the Romans would say. I heard Jesus telling his ma it was not his call and something about it not being his moment yet. Like he was governed by someone else's timetable. Odd. But then she just tells the servants, do whatever he says. What's he going to do about it? Take his donkey cart to the nearest vineyard miles away? Buy a vat full on his gold credit status? We're near the entrance. I see Jesus is pointing at the water jars. Everyone's done their ritual washing like you do on arrival, so they are pretty much empty now. There's a flurry of activity follows. Servants sent to the well for refills. Nobody turns a hair. Took an age to shift that much water, though. I saunter past like I'm heading for the bathroom. They are full to the very top. I watch Jesus closely. In the midst of the reception, the rumpus of life's everyday dramas, he is serene. Oh, you know, like the eye of a storm. He closes his eyes for a moment or two. tilts his face upwards. Lips are moving silently, I think. His palms are upwards on his knees. Then he calls the head waiter over and he directs him to draw some out. Yeah, from the jars. He points towards Simon. Nat's dancing, urging me to join in, but I picks up my cup, sidles round after the waiter. I'm just curious, I suppose, to see what Jesus is doing. Not that it looks like anything much, really. Simon's response floored me then. It were water. That's in it. Seen them fetching it in the jars, brimming to the top. Superb, says Simon, nods at the waiter, grabs the shoulder of the bridegroom who's congering past, says, "Exceptional wine, sir. Folks hardly ever save the best till the guests neither know nor care what they are drinking." Bridegroom clearly hears and nods and smiles, sort of baffled, like, you know, like when you don't hear and you're hoping that's the right response. I squeeze back past the jars. Servants are filling flagons from them now. I quietly dip my cup in the last one. I look into it. I can smell it already. A rich, full-bodied red, blood red. Seconds ago, that were water. Gallons and gallons of it at that. What on earth? Nobody can do that, and nobody who could would act like they hadn't. Nat reckons I jumped to conclusions, but this man has transformed a disaster into a triumph, practically without moving a muscle. What the others say when I tell them. The waiter looks confused, but he says nothing. I scan the heaving crowd again, looking for Jesus. There he sits, smiling indulgently and silently, raising a toast to the bride. Rescuing a village wedding reception might seem a weird, even frivolous use of his unique powers, but it seems even stranger that Jesus saving the day might easily have gone completely unnoticed. This is John's deep, mysterious Jesus, God in human flesh, the person whose words and actions inspired so many centuries of reflecting, head-scratching, even arguing. What was coming to light in him, little by little, was something utterly new, right there in the midst of the bustle of a common human event. The water jars were equally commonplace, mere utensils for Jewish ritual washing, which was expected on such occasions. This was Jesus' first recorded meal with his new helpers. In response to the need, he requisitions empty clay vessels and fills them, like his own human frame, with a stronger substance. That same liquid, symbolising his lifeblood, will reappear at the Last Supper with his disciples, as he entrusts his mission to them. Jesus blesses the joining of bride and groom in a harmonious and hopefully lasting relationship. Love, naturally. First, he comes to share their lives, and next, he gently transforms them, making the plain and ordinary into something rich and rare. Understandably, marriage later gained special status as a church sacrament. And curiously, this first physical sign of his true identity, like the last and greatest, took place unseen on the third day.